Welcome back, everyone, to the Fun English Podcast, the show that makes learning English not only fun but also deeply rewarding. I'm John, your host, and I'm so glad to have you with us today.
And I'm Sarah. Hello, listeners. We're kicking off today's episode with a really exciting and, let's be honest, important topic. Why is English so important in our lives? It's something we hear about all the time, right? You might have asked yourself, why do I need to learn English? Or why is everyone always talking about it? Well, today we're going to dive deep into those questions and explore how learning English is more than just a language. It's a gateway to countless opportunities in life.
Absolutely. We often hear about English being the global language, the language of business, and so much more. But today, we want to go beyond that and give you a deeper understanding of why English is so important. It's not just about speaking, it's about connecting with people, accessing knowledge, advancing your career, and experiencing the world in new ways. So, let's get started, and we'll break it all down step by step.
Yes, and we're going to share a ton of examples, personal stories, and even some statistics to really show how and why English plays such a huge role in our daily lives. By the end of this episode, we hope you'll see English as not just a tool for communication, but as an incredibly valuable skill in today's world.
So, let's start with the history of English. Why is it the language that's spoken by over 1.5 billion people worldwide today? Well, a big part of it comes down to historical events, specifically the rise of the British Empire.
Right. At its height in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the British Empire controlled vast regions of the world, from India to Africa, the Caribbean, parts of the Middle East, and even Australia. English was the language of trade, governance, education, and diplomacy across these territories. So English naturally spread as the language of authority and communication.
Exactly. Even after the British Empire started to decline in the mid-20th century, English remained as the dominant language in many countries, often because of its entrenched role in government, law, and business. For example, in countries like India and Nigeria, English is still one of the official languages and widely spoken by millions of people, despite having their own native languages.
Yes, and that's why, even in regions where English isn't the native language, you'll find that it's taught in schools, used in business, and often becomes the language of social mobility. Think of Singapore. While they speak multiple languages there, English is the primary working language of the country.
So, while the British Empire played a major role in spreading English, we can't forget about the United States. The US became a global superpower in the 20th century, economically, culturally, and politically. The growth of American media, technology, and pop culture has been a huge factor in the spread of English worldwide.
Now let's talk about how technology and the internet have really amplified the global importance of English. Think about the digital world we live in. The internet itself was created in the US, and its evolution has largely been shaped by English.
That's true. Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Amazon, these massive platforms are all primarily in English. And let's not forget about programming languages. Many of the world's most important programming languages like Python, JavaScript, and C++ are based on English. So, anyone working in the tech industry, no matter where they are in the world, needs to know English to be able to work with these tools and platforms.
Think about coding boot camps. They teach coding in English because most of the time, that's the language used in technical documentation, coding environments, and frameworks. So if you want to be a web developer or a data scientist, having a solid grasp of English is essential, not just for communication, but also for technical understanding.
And here's a fun fact for you. Over 50% of content on the internet is in English. Yes, more than half of all websites, articles, blogs, and videos are produced in English, even though only about 20% of the world's population speaks English natively. That means if you can understand English, you have access to a huge portion of the information available online.
This brings us to another big topic, business. In the globalized economy of today, English is often the common language in international business. John, you work in a multinational company. How does English play a role in your day-to-day work?
Read question. For starters, all of our meetings are in English, whether they're with people from Japan, Germany, or Brazil. Even though the people in the meetings might speak their native languages, English is the medium of communication. And it's not just about speaking, it's about being able to write emails, create reports, read industry documents, and understand market research, all of which are predominantly in English.
Yes, and it's not just about big companies. Think about small businesses or freelancers. Many people these days are working remotely and offering their services to clients worldwide, from graphic design to digital marketing to writing. The common language? English. Whether you're sending proposals, negotiating contracts, or working on a project, knowing English opens up opportunities to work with clients from the US, Europe, Asia, and beyond.
For example, I know several people in the freelancing world who have been able to attract clients from all over the globe, just because they can communicate well in English. Imagine you're a freelance graphic designer in Mexico. You speak Spanish, but you're also fluent in English. You can reach out to potential clients in Australia, Canada, or the UK, offering your services in English. If you didn't know the language, you might miss out on all those international opportunities.
Exactly. And in industries like finance and technology, English is the official language of many of the top conferences, webinars, and workshops. To grow in these fields, you often have to attend these events to learn from experts, network, and stay updated with trends. If you don't speak English, you could miss out on all the valuable insights and connections these events offer.
Now, let's talk about travel. Imagine you're on vacation or even going on a business trip to a foreign country. Whether you're in a bustling city or a remote village, English is often the language that connects you with people.
It's true. I've been to places like Thailand, Greece, and Turkey where English wasn't the first language, but most people working in the tourist industry could speak at least some basic English. And when I've traveled to places like Japan, where the native language is much more difficult to learn, English has been incredibly helpful in making basic requests, ordering food, finding directions, and getting around.
I've had a similar experience. I traveled to Vietnam a couple of years ago, and while not everyone spoke English, most of the signs in tourist areas were in English, and many people working in hotels, restaurants, or shops knew enough English to help. Airports, train stations, and bus terminals around the world, whether in Europe, Asia, or the Americas, often have information in English, which makes travel easier and less stressful.
And it's not just for practical reasons. Being able to speak English allows you to connect with locals and fellow travelers in a way that wouldn't be possible otherwise. I remember meeting so many interesting people when I stayed in a hostel in Barcelona. Most of the guests were from France, Germany, and the UK, and the common language we all spoke was English.
Now, let's move on to something that's close to my heart: pop culture. If you love movies, music, or television, then you've probably consumed a lot of English language content. Whether you're watching a Hollywood blockbuster, listening to an American pop song, or binge watching a British drama series, English is at the center of it all.
I couldn't agree more. And the cool thing is, with streaming services like Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube, there's no shortage of English content. You might be watching a popular series from the US, or enjoying a song from the UK, or discovering a TikTok trend that's gone viral. English is everywhere.
And if you want to get deeper into the culture, being able to understand the language helps you appreciate things on a different level. Take comedy, for example. So much humor is tied to language, wordplay, or cultural references that are easier to understand when you know English.
Yes, exactly. Humor in English can be so fun to learn. Whether it's a puns, slang, or even the way jokes are delivered, understanding English lets you appreciate the subtleties of comedy that might be lost in translation.
One of the most beautiful aspects of English is that it acts as a bridge between people from different cultures. Today, we're more interconnected than ever before, thanks to technology. English allows us to communicate with people from different backgrounds, whether it's for business, education, or socializing.
It's true. I've met people from so many different countries: Brazil, Russia, South Korea, and Egypt. And the common thread was always English. Without it, these connections would have been much harder or even impossible to make.
So, whether you're connecting with people at work, traveling to new places, learning from experts, or enjoying entertainment, English allows you to expand your horizons and connect to a global community. It's not just a language, it's a bridge to the world.
As we wrap up today's episode, we hope you're feeling inspired to embrace English and recognize its true value in today's world. It's more than just a language, it's a tool that opens up a world of possibilities.
That's right. Learning English is an investment in your future. Whether it's for personal growth, career advancement, travel, or simply connecting with others around the world, English is one of the most powerful skills you can have. And remember, no matter where you are in your learning journey, every step you take brings you closer to unlocking these opportunities.
So keep practicing, stay curious, and above all, enjoy the journey. English is fun, and the more you use it, the more amazing experiences it will bring into your life.
Thank